What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today's a different type of video, just more of a story time. So what I want you guys to do, grab your favorite flavor of popcorn, sit back in that reclining chair, enjoy the show, enjoy the story. And I'm just going to be talking about why I quit smoking weed and my overall experience with it and why I quit in the first place. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So, it all started back in high school. I was playing basketball with literally no free time from when the sun rose to when the sun set. I was playing basketball. And of course, I had high school in between, but from like 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. I'd practice. And then after school, I'd study hall. And then from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. I had more practice. So my schedule was pretty jam-packed with that. I had no free time to do what my friends were doing. And at the time, all of my friends kind of fell into the trap of like vaping, smoking weed, and I was just too busy to actually to get into those temptations. So I was like kind of away from all of that at the moment. But some point in my junior year, I got hurt during my practice, and I was out for 5 to 6 months with a very bad sprained ankle. And that kind of set me back a long time for basketball because I had big plans for basketball, but, things happen. But so, yeah, I went to my friend's house one weekend, and they were doing the dab pins and all that. And I was like, you know what? I don't have practice or basketball or anything for 5 to 6 months. What am I going to do? Might as well join them on this. It couldn't hurt to do it one time. And it was pretty fun. It was the first night. Everyone was laughing, having a good time. But that fun turned into a weekend occurrence, and then that weekend occurrence turned into a very, very bad habit. So let's go ahead and go over to the next chapter, the weed summer. So this was still during high school. I worked on a farm and ate edibles all the time. This was like during summer and all that, so it was pretty hot. Everyone just wanted to have fun. So me and my coworkers, we all did weed, did edibles so no one could smell it. And we just kind of got high while farming away on a farm. And I was only making $10 an hour, which is the worst pay I ever have gotten in my life for the hardest labor I've ever done in my life. And all I did was work and spend my money on weed, video games, and snacks, and partying, like drinking and all that, but whatever. I could have done plenty of better things with my time, but to be honest, it wasn't too bad for someone my age that didn't really know anything. I was still an NPC. I didn't know anything at all about what I know now. I was just kind of going through the motions, going through life. So that's kind of all I knew at the time, so I can't really blame myself. I could have definitely changed and found ways to like either learn new skills or do something like that, but I really no guidance to actually get me there. So after the summer was over, school started again, and I was back at it with basketball. So this was my last year of high school, of course, and I started taking edibles at school. And one of my classes, I had psychology, and I thought it would be a great idea to take an edible during that class to see how interesting it would get. But the bad thing for me was it turned out the topic for the day was schizophrenia, and that started setting panic in my life, and I was panicking, and I was like, yo, what if I actually have this shit? So I was like asking the teacher to use the bathroom. Then I just left for the remainder of class, went to go sit in my car to calm myself down and to make sure I wasn't tripping with schizophrenia. So yeah, basketball was back and I was all healed, but I still did edibles and smoked, so I was still using the bad habit and still doing basketball, so I was just balancing the two out. I'd probably just smoke after practice or maybe take an edible at school. Not in psychology class anymore. I learned my lesson the hard way. And after a lot of time, I started losing interest in basketball, but it still kind of stayed in my life because there was nothing really better for me to do, and that was the only thing I was pretty good at. So after all the junior year and senior year, I graduated, and after graduating, I still played basketball and DoorDashed for money, just so I could buy more drugs, buy food, kind of get some money going in my pocket. And I didn't know what I really wanted to do or where I wanted to go in life. I was just kind of being a bot, didn't really know. I was just kind of going through the flows of life, didn't really have any set purpose for myself. So I was just like an 18-year-old man with no set purpose or guidance on what to do with my life from that point on. And with no purpose, I just kept on distracting myself with pleasure, which was weed at the time. So instead of seeking purpose and seeking a reason for my being alive, I just kept distracting myself with pleasure and escaping my reality. So this led me to doing weed more often and was pretty much high all of the time. I don't remember a point where I wasn't high when I was sober, and that kind of sucked because I don't remember most of it. But during some point of that time, I got offered to play basketball at a Christian college called Truett McConnell University, which is in Georgia, just up north in the mountains, and we can continue on to that chapter, which is why I went to college in the first place. Let me take a little quick sip of water. So, I basically went to Truett McConnell University because I had nothing else better going in my life, and it was the only option really available to me. And it was actually kind of crazy looking back at it. Like, it was 4 years of my life decided in a few weeks' time when I actually had no clue what I even wanted to do. So I was just going with the flow of life and kind of signed into 4 years of my life being wasted away and 4 years of debt. But luckily I could drop out, so I'm all good now. But that was the outcome of me being high all the time and not knowing what I truly desired. So if you're in high school right now smoking all the time, I definitely recommend stopping and actually making a good decision when you get out of high school. Just because 4 years is the long period of your time. You're going to be, like 22, 24 when you get out? You still have a lot of years left, but that's a lot of time. And I went because I was still able to play basketball, and I really just wanted to get out of Noonan. I was tired of being in Noonan, tired of being around the same exact people all the time. But little did I know it was just going to start heading downhill even more. The weed was not stopping anytime soon. So, the tales of TMU. This is where the legend Ryan was born. So, I got to college, and I figured out all my teammates are potheads too. Look at that. I just joined the same people that I left. Like, I left the potheads to join more potheads. So it was not looking good for me. This did not help at all with my case with weed. My freshman year consisted of partying, smoking, fornicating with a lot of girls, and drinking. So, the fornicating and drinking wasn't that bad, but smoking and partying, that was probably something I could have stayed away from. Because I just kind of strayed away from my life even more, strayed away from like self-awareness. I was just kind of getting lost. And this led me to failing all my classes, losing most of my basketball skills, and losing a lot of brain cells. I was basically retarded at that point. My life was going downhill very quickly, as you can see, and there was really no kind of spike that was going up anymore. It was just all going downhill. But all of this stopped one night in December after my first year in college when I was door dashing. I like to call it the December dash. So, the night of December 25th of 2022, I was door dashing and smoking at the same time, just having fun, making money, but it was just kind of depressing looking back on it. And this is already not the best thing to do at night, even around Christmas time, which is even worse. But I made a wrong turn and almost hit someone head on. It was like a one-way street, and I turned down that one-way street and almost hit him. And I stopped before I hit him, of course. But that same person started following me for like 40 minutes. So I was really panicking. I was high. I didn't know what to do. And I had like 10 grams in my car, so it wasn't really a good situation for me. But I did have a full tank of gas, so at least I knew I could keep driving all night if I had to. But luckily for me, or not so lucky, but I don't know. I don't know what could have happened if I let that guy keep following me. But I saw a police car, pulled over to get his attention. I made an illegal turn so he could pull me over. And the person following me finally turned around and the police came up to my car, which was not a good thing for me because at 10 grams, I just smoked. My car smelled like weed. But luckily for me, I had a full deodorant spray of, I think it was Axe. But I just started spraying that thing all around my car, and I pretty much emptied the whole bottle just to make sure that every inch of my car was weed free. So, this was just a big sign from the universe to stop. Luckily for me, he didn't smell it, but I still got 2 tickets, one for my license not being updated, and one for me making the illegal turn. So that turned out pretty unfortunate for me, but it could have turned out a lot worse. I could probably still be in prison right now. I'm not sure what the laws are, but 10 grams isn't really a small amount. They had my mom and dad come pick me up, and my mom smelled it and made me bury the 10 G's that I had remaining, which is totally understandable, and I would have done the same if my kid had 10 grams of weed in his car. And I decided that was it for me with weed. I decided that was the finish line. I was not touching it ever again. So I buried all the 10 G's and started a weed farm. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's just still buried at that house. The people living there now are probably just seeing a weed plant grow out of the ground, but it's whatever. But yeah, after that night, I never touched weed again until about 7 months ago, and I just want to say it was a trust fund joint. So, I want to call it the 40 million trust fund joint. So my great uncle had a friend who happened to be an important grandson. That said person was actually the grandson of the CEO of a very big bank. He went from like an average Joe kind of guy, like making around like 80 to 90K a year, to making 40 million a year just from being the grandson of the CEO of a big bank. And he invited us to stay a few nights, and while we were there, my uncle offered me a joint while we were sitting on the back looking at the big mansion. So I said no at first, but then I looked around. I was like, fuck it. I'm probably never going to be at this exact house again. Might as well do it. And I kind of paid for it immediately. I got really anxious and paranoid the remainder of the day, so I basically got instant karma. Luckily for me, it didn't last, like all that anxiousness and paranoia didn't last the entirety of the trip. I was back to normal like a few hours later. But still, that was a pretty crazy day. So, I've had no weed since. I haven't touched weed since that day. I'm not interested in touching it ever again. There's really no point to getting back into it. Looking back, I wouldn't change anything though. They were all just a big lesson that I can now reflect from and kind of teach you guys or teach others. And kind of just reflect on it later on in life and kind of laugh on it. I'm glad I learned it very early on in life instead of later. Like, say I kept smoking and didn't really learn any lesson until like I was 30 or 40. Then it would be kind of too late for me. My life is pretty much more than over. So I'll kind of go over the negative effects I experienced during my time with weed. I kind of went through paranoia, anxiety, pretty much became antisocial, very lazy, basically retarded, went through depersonalization, had no clue what I was, and it burns a lot of money. I'd probably have around 5 to 6K or more probably, just in cash saving from buying weed. So, should you quit weed? Do you have a similar story to this? Do you have something that kind of aligns with this? Do you like feel you're meant for more, but like something is holding you back? That could be weed. You just have to take a deep insight on your life and see if that was a problem. And if not, if like weed improves your life, keep doing it. Everyone's brain reacts differently to every chemical. So for me, it didn't react very well and it made me retarded and not do the right things. But for some people, it could be a really great benefit to them, especially if they like use it for medical purposes. But it just really depends from person to person. So I'm not telling you guys to quit, just to kind of take an insight on your life to see if it's actually helping you or it's being detrimental to your success and for you achieving the goals that you want to achieve. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed your popcorn. Hope you relaxed a little bit. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.